Canada response. I have to tell you, I was quite surprised with my first conversation with the Prime Minister when I was offering help, and he didn't understand that it was a Parks Canada fire. He said, we'll give you whatever help you need. And I said, no, you don't understand. We're offering to help you. So that, I think, shows you the level of disconnect that there was.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, Aaron Canadian Looney? I've never seen Danielle Smith this sour. Don't accuse her of being responsible for something she does not believe she is. Let's take a look. She's on fire about the wildfires. Let's go.
Report into the Jasper wildfire response says the province regularly requested information and tried to make decisions. The report also says that incident commanders spent more time managing inquiries instead of directing the response. Did the province make the situation worse in Jasper?
We absolutely did not. I'm very disappointed that this report politicizes what actually should be a very successful example of unified command and support between municipal, provincial, and federal government. As you know, the Alberta government provided $181 million worth of support, disaster recovery program funding, evacuation payments. We supported the Red Cross. We gave tourism support. We reestablished the Jasper Food Bank. We gave property tax relief. We rebuilt a seniors complex, and we supported regional transit services. I think that it is important to understand that this was a federal fire. It took place in a federal park, and it was a federal Parks Canada response. We stayed on standby awaiting their request for supply and support, which they gave to us, or which they ultimately did end up asking us to do, and we moved into unified command only after the fire had breached Jasper and burnt down 1/3 of it. So I would have liked to have seen two things come out of this report. Number one, a recognition that the reason why we ended up with such tragic circumstances, in part, was because of inappropriate forest management practices that doesn't cut down deadwood trees. And
Oh, yeah.
we're unified command faster because we were not asked for support until after the town burned down. So whatever it is that they are trying to do to deflect blame, I'm not impressed with it, and I would ask for an apology from the city as a result. We want to work collaboratively with our municipal and federal partners, but pointing fingers at others when they should be looking at what they can do to improve their own response would have been a far better outcome as we approach the year anniversary.
And this is just a clarification question of my question one. Did the province at any point during the wildfire response get feedback that it was getting in the way of the wildfire response?
Not at all. In fact, when we showed up with equipment, we showed up with tankers, we showed up with personnel. We had a firefighter die in the process of trying to manage the response. We had drones that were monitoring hotspots for weeks afterwards to be able to determine safe re-entry. At no point did they say they did not want our response. And so this report comes as a shot out of the blue. It's unfair, it's untrue, and I would like them to withdraw it.
And so my second question is, as I mentioned, the report lays out how the province was a hindrance. Your joint statement and your statements now make very clear that you do not agree with that. Obviously, both these things can't be true. With all that said, how will the province work to make things better next time around?
Well, let me tell you what's happening right now. Right now, there is a fire on the Cold Lake Air Base. And we have an agreement with the federal government that we are the first responder to manage that fire. We have mutual aid agreements with First Nations as well, where the federal government has agreed that we are in a better position to be the first responder. What I would like to see is Parks Canada recognize that we have more capability, more experience than they do. They fight dozens of fires a year. We fight hundreds of fires a year. So what I would like is for Parks Canada to swallow its ego maybe a bit and work with us on a mutual aid agreement so that we can move to unified command faster. If you look at some of the wrecks that we've had in this province, a lot of them have started in federal parks because of their poor forest management, and because of uncontrolled burns that have gone out of control, and because they do not call us in fast enough. Waterton is an example. We had a problem with a fire coming out of the Banff Park area as well last year that we were able to contain. Jasper is an example, and we have several First Nations that have not recovered because of fire, because the federal government is not working with us on a response. On Fox Lake, We also have a problem in Sturgeon Cree Lake. We have a new a problem with Chip Lake that we hope to have a new response with the federal government. But pointing fingers, casting blame, that is not what the purpose of the exercise is. We all have to look at what we have done in the past and how we can improve. And I don't think that Parks Canada and the town of Jasper have done an adequate job of that. I hope they go back to the drawing board.
Thank you.
Hi, Premier. It's Lisa Johnson from the Canadian Press. Just to follow up on that, you've made it clear and you've highlighted some of the positive contributions that you feel like the province has made, but the town of Jasper commissioned this postmortem to figure out what could be done better. Are you going to do your own report, or do you acknowledge that there were deficiencies in the provincial response that you want to improve before the next disaster happens?
The province was not asked to help until the fire reached the town. This was a federal response by Parks Canada. They chose not to ask us to come into Unified Command until the cleanup began. And I would say that what I would like to see is for us to be called into Unified Command a whole lot earlier. I would like to see that we would work with them to clear away the deadwood in all of the forest parks areas so that it does not continue to create a hazard for the rest of the province. Those are two things I would like to see. We always do these kinds of reviews to see if there are things that we can improve. But I think there does need to be that kind of approach done on the part of every entity that was involved. But let's be very clear. Alberta did not get involved in the wildfire response until after the fire had breached the town. Everything that we do in our wildfire response is to prevent that from happening. Because as soon as you flip over into structural firefighting, now you're into a real problem. You're into a problem of toxic air. You're into a problem of the danger of explosion. You're into a problem of a massive and long-term recovery effort. And so I would hope that everybody would be focused on the same thing, working together so that we never have to have fires breach towns again and have this kind of long-term recovery effort that needs to be done. But make no mistake, we were not involved in the first days of this fire. This was 100% a Parks-led effort.
Hi, Premier. Sean Amato with City News. You say in your statement that this Jasper report is politically motivated and misguided. The municipality is already sort of pushing back on this, saying no, this was an independent report, and more than 300 people were interviewed as part of the process. So who do you allege is playing politics here?
Well, I'm sorry. We weren't even involved in the initial stage of the response. Because it's a Parks Canada fire and it's a Parks Canada response. I have to tell you, I was quite surprised with my first conversation with the Prime Minister when I was offering help, and he didn't understand that it was a Parks Canada fire. He said, we'll give you whatever help you need. And I said, no, you don't understand. We're offering to help you. So that, I think, shows you the level of disconnect that there was. Our Emergency Management Cabinet Committee had been intervened, and we were meeting every single day, and we continued to meet every single day, waiting to see if there was a possibility we could get into Unified Command. I sent notes after the breach of fire, after it was very clear they needed our help, to senior government officials saying, let's get to Unified Command so that we can clean this up, go through recovery, and get back to normal. So if they're looking at their response up to that point where the fire breach, that has nothing to do with the province, and they shouldn't be trying to deflect. They should be looking at their own processes to figure out what went wrong. What I think went wrong is that they didn't do adequate fire protection and fire guard clearance, and then they didn't call in for Unified Command early enough. We had a lot of resources we could have brought to bear. They didn't ask for them until the fire breached the city. And by then, now you're into a cleanup mission, and it's all hands on deck at that point. So it's unfair assessment, and I don't accept it.
I'm a little bit confused by your response, just because the report itself says it doesn't need to lay blame. In fact, the report says that the overall response to the fire was a success. Nobody's getting blamed for a third of the town being burned down, but the town chief administrator, Bill Given, told me today, the point of this report was to, analyze the gaps in how to respond so that we can, all work together better for the next round if it happens. I guess I'm curious why you're taking from the report that you and your government are being blamed for this when that's not what the report says.
Well, because there's a whole section that blames the Alberta government, and every member of the media has written that the report blames the Alberta government. So maybe they're backing down, maybe they regret saying so, and they should issue us an apology if that's the case, because we weren't involved. It was a Parks Canada fire. It was a Parks Canada and Jasper-led effort until the town burnt down. We only came in after the fact to help with cleaning up after the fires, removing the hot spots and making sure that the evacuees were taken care of and that we could get them on a pathway to return home. So if they were just looking at the immediate fire response, that's on them, and we shouldn't have been mentioned at all.
And then I guess I'm a bit confused about your ask for an apology. So the report was based off surveys of firefighters and like other emergency personnel that were involved. So are you asking the firefighters for an apology, or are you asking the town for an
Asking the town. I mean, the town went right out and say we're not looking for to lay blame, and then they have a whole section where they laid blame. So yeah, maybe they should reissue the report, do a little bit more self-reflection, and take that section out. We were not involved until the fire breached, and then we came in after the fact asking for unified command.
Oh yeah.
Wrap it up right there, guys. Danielle Smith, you won't like her when she's angry. She's one of my favorites to watch, but she's almost losing her composure there. Really ticked off, that's for sure. Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney, like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching this one. We're out.